This book is the new book, Pacific Kittyhawk, and it's a follow-on from Pacific Corsair that we released in 2021. Authors are myself and David Duxbury. So I'm just going to turn the pages and show you what the content is like. The two authors, and quite a few acknowledgements here, as you might expect in a book like this. How we came to buy Kittyhawks and how desperate New Zealand was, along with other countries, for modern aircraft in 1941. Development of the Kittyhawk, and some material about the actual models that we used on these pages here. Deliveries to New Zealand. These were by ship, as you might expect. Multiple deliveries on multiple ships, and we also took over a small number on Tonga. Took them over from a US Air Force squadron. Colour schemes. The ferry flights. The RNZA ferried K, M and N models up to the war zone. Multiple ferry missions. And one of the ongoing debates is about what colour was the RNZAF Pacific Roundel blue, and judgments made from black and white photographs are often not helpful. These are photographs of two K models. These two aircraft would almost certainly have been painted by the same painter on the same day from the same pot of paint. Yet in this photograph, the blue reads dark, and in this one, even though it does not appear to be an orthochromatic film, the blue is reading light. Interestingly, the colour red reads about the same, maybe slightly darker in the lower one. More about the ferry flights. It's a significant enterprise getting the planes up there and flying them home as well. The return journey. Coverage of the Pacific bases that we used. Most of these were shared with the Americans, and later on with the Australians as well. The fighter maintenance units, they're a significant part of the story too. How the maintenance personnel were placed into separate units. Number 1 fighter maintenance unit, which became number 1 servicing unit, and they're really tearing the planes apart. Number 3 and number 4, and the different marking schemes adopted by different servicing units. You can tell which servicing unit serviced which plane by whether they use numbers or letters. And of course, the famous Gloria Lyons aircraft. This is a story by John Skeen, which he researched the actual person Gloria Lyons, as well as the aircraft, which is quite interesting. She ended up living in Australia. And I've changed my mind about whether this aircraft here, this particular Gloria, was yellow or white, but you can read about that in the book. The squadrons, how each one was formed, where it formed, what planes it had, where it was at given times, all that sort of stuff, and the tours that they went on. Another famous aircraft. And here I cover off how some authors in the 60s until quite recently would believe that the white stripes had red bands beside them, but I cover off that aspect on this page. 15 Squadron, 16, number 17, numbers 18 and 19, and number 20. They trained on P-40s, but I think they flew them up to the islands, but they never actually operated them in battle. And more colour schemes. The operations, we go over operations fairly briefly as it's well covered elsewhere, but we endeavour to create a timeline again of who was where, brief coverage of actions. Turn over 2 pages at once then, not to worry. Yeah, the operations part, if you're really interested, Chris Rudge's book, Air to Air, is the one to go for. And we end up coming through to the new types that replace the P-40. Jump the page. So, home bases and operational training, RNZAO for Hakia. Quite a few photographs from David Homewood. So, you know, his website is absolutely tremendous. It's on Pro Boards, but if you search for David Homewood RNZAF website, you should be able to track it down. Lots of photographs from John Regan. John Regan actually owned a DC-3 or C-47 and an Avenger at one stage, yonks ago. Silver P-40s, or rather bare metal ones, just squadron leader type toy aeroplanes in New Zealand. And yep, more colour schemes. The bases, Masterton, Seagrove, what happened at Gisborne. This is the first book off the press, pages are sticking. Fairhall, Whenuapai, Ardmore. The main story of Ardmore is covered in the Pacific Corsair book. So what's here is just what pertains to the P-40s, or the part to do with the P-40s that is not covered in Pacific Corsair. The cost. This is about crashes and incidents, some being fatal. It's not a complete individual history. There's no point in doing that in a printed book like this. I think it's adfserials.com.au does a tremendous job of having brief individual histories of every plane. We've tried to expand out the story around significant incidents and also correct things where we can. Where I've put like a serial number and a series of code letters, that I believe is the code the aircraft was wearing when the incident occurred. So there's a lot of that sort of thing in here, like, you know, 6529. Just flick through these. Still quite a bit. A lot going on, you know. Some of the reports are quite long. And we come to even an aircraft that had, it's an E model that was kind of kidnapped by the Americans up in the islands, and used as a pilot's plaything for a while. Then eventually it came down to New Zealand, and by that stage it had US stars and bars on it again. Camouflage and markings. This is the bit that I personally am most interested in, and I've tried to place things in time and place, what happened and when. Progression of markings, the blue-grey colour, and the application of the Pacific blue markings. You know, there's photographs like this where there's a stencil being used to apply an underwing blue and white roundel, and you can see the remnants of the stencil. You know, in some aircraft like these P-40 N5s who were flown up, they were flown up to the islands looking like this, but then on Espiritu Santo, before they went forward to Guadalcanal, their tails, it is believed, were painted white at that time, because this is well after the white tails were ubiquitous. Again, the progression of markings. Sorry, my hands are in the way here a little bit, but the pages are all brand new. Yeah, they're big letters on the back of the fuselage, which of course, when they got the American bars on top of them, they became unusable. Again, what happened over the months, aircraft leaving to fly up to the islands, and when they're back in New Zealand, all rather weather-beaten and worn. And the progression of the bars, the size of the bars, starting off these small ones, then bigger ones, and then really big ones. And the use of the blue-grey paint back in New Zealand. Fortunately, I have a number of junkyard photographs in colour taken in the 50s and 60s, which are really, really useful. And also I have notes like this page here. This is based on notes received from Charles Darby, who wrote RNZF the first decade. He and Robert Montgomery visited Rukuhia junkyard and took personal notes on individual aircraft. Let's see, these are the camouflage painting drawings from Curtis. Those are from Mike Nichols. They're using Mike Nichols and the team down there are using these drawings to repaint NZ3043, I believe, and in conjunction with the RNZF Museum to get the colour scheme right. And these are some FS numbers for various colours, but they are colours not from official sources, but based on actual pieces of fabric that I have held in my hand personally, or people that I trust have held them in their hand. Okay, and the book closes off. On the back cover, some guys at a servicing unit fitting a new engine into a P40.